If you're interested in making a podcast at some point and you're kind of interested in that overview, the top, 80,000 foot view of how podcasts work, this video is for you. Today I'm going to explain kind of how that works without going into all the messy details, because there's a lot of great videos on YouTube already about that. But there's very few videos that talk about podcasts from a very, very high level. And that's what I think, if you get your head around that, you can go from there and learn anything you want to learn about how to create your podcasts. So today I want to talk about those things that I wish I knew before I started developing podcasts for my clients. And hopefully this helps. My name is Zion, and I am the founder of the Get Known service. And it's a service in which we apply the Get Known strategy, which is a proven strategy to help content creators get known. So in a sense, we help YouTubers and podcasters take their information and repurpose it throughout the week, throughout the months, in all kinds of different ways so that they attract the attention and the clients and the audience that they're looking for, and they expand their reach. It's really pretty simple. We have an amazing service. If you're interested in it, check out our website below. We also offer a free course on how to use Canva. If you've never used Canva before, it's kind of like Photoshop for beginners, and it's an amazing tool that anybody can jump into. Check out the link below. It's a free course. It's for you. All right, let's jump into this. So podcasts, you've probably listened to a lot of podcasts yourself through Pandora, through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Those are called directories. They're places in which you can listen to podcasts, and they are getting their information through what's called an RSS feed. So I've got my iPad here, and I'm going to just write out this real quick. So your RSS feed is basically a bunch of information. It's a bunch of text. That text is actually being pulled into the different directories. So you have directories like, let's look at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora. You've got all these different directories. There's hundreds of them, by the way. There's hundreds of ways in which you can listen to podcasts. They are getting their information from the RSS feed about your podcast episode, okay? So I'm going to draw a line that does this. They're all getting this information from this. That's a big arrow. And the neat thing about podcasts, this is one of the biggest advantages, is that your podcast updates constantly. I'll put an exclamation point. I don't know why. Exclamation point for this diagram means it's updating. So anytime you update something, let's say you change your audio a little bit, or maybe the description changes, or the category in which your podcasts go into. If that changes, every about 10 to 15 minutes, these directories look for any changes and they'll update on their side. There's a huge advantage to that, and it's because if you make a mistake, if you want to update something, you can do that. On YouTube, you can't do this. So like on YouTube, well, you can update the title and description, but let's say you have a brand new video. Like let's say you made a video on YouTube, you put it out there, people are watching it, and you realize, oh my gosh, I told the wrong information on this. I want to redo it. Well, if you redo it, you have to delete the video and put a new one up there. You cannot substitute a video after it's been out there. You can trim it, but you can't substitute it. So there's a huge advantage of using podcasts to convey information, because you can always update it if something is wrong or outdated, or you messed up, or you just want to change something. Okay, so this is the top overview. Where does this RSS feed get information? Where does your podcast, the audio file, really live? Well, audio files are usually in, I'm going to change colors here. They're usually like a .wav file, or an MP3. That's what most people know. Those are just audio files. There's also what's called AIF files. Those are like usually an Apple standard. But most podcasts are done in MP3s. Where does that live? Well, you have to have a home. You have to have a home, like a home page. You could use Squarespace. You could use Kajabi. You could use a lot of different places to hold your podcast, to hold the audio. That audio contains information, text, and the RSS feed looks at all that, basically is created. The RSS feed is created from all this information that's on wherever you create the RSS feed. And it is what's given to the podcast to know where to pull the audio from, to stream the audio. Okay, that's all said and good. That seems a little complicated. Well, it is. The best thing is there are hosts now. So the cool thing is you can get a host to host your podcast and to create your RSS feed. And one of my favorites is called Buzzsprout. I don't have any affiliate with them, but I like them a lot. There's Kajabi. They have theirs now, which I'm an affiliate with Kajabi. They're pretty amazing. I would highly advise, if you want to look at their site, check below. There's one called Libsyn. It's a weird name. There's hundreds of these as well. These are hosts. Basically what happens is they say, instead of you using your own website, don't do that. Just come over here to our site and put all your information in. Anytime you have a new episode, you can download it here, or you can host it on our platform. We will create the RSS feed and distribute it to all your directories. Again, these are called directories. I can't spell. Directories. So they kind of do a lot of the work for you. And there are certain directories like Apple Podcast, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and there's several more that they actually want you. They're not just going to look at your RSS feed and just start blasting your podcast. They want you to apply to use their platform. So you have to actually go into each one of those and apply. And that can be daunting. Your host, if it's a good host like Buzzsprout, will walk you through that. Now, I'm on the Side Hustle Lounge. This is one of my clients. And these are all the directories that we have set up for them. Now, Pandora, it says get listed. It's actually in the application process still. They take a long time for some reason to get approved. But these are all the different directories we have applied to. And then there's hundreds of others that once you get your application set up through these, they will just pull your podcast from those. So Buzzsprout makes it really easy because it walks you through and says, hey, this is how you get set up for every one of your platforms. Some of them are really easy. Some of them are a little cumbersome. Apple is probably most cumbersome because you have to have an Apple ID and stuff like that. I'm going to have another video on how to do that. But the point is that once you get it all set up, anytime you change your RSS feed, anytime this gets updated by your host, because let's say you just change the description or whatever of your podcast, your host updates your RSS feed, and then all the directories get updated automatically. That way, everybody has your latest, your greatest. They have all the information for every episode, and that includes artwork for your podcast. That includes the category it usually goes into, the host, whether it's explicit content, any show notes you might have, the title, any of that can be updated at any time. I'm going to show you real quick an episode in one of my client. This is my client, Bill Soroka. This is his podcast, The Side Hustle Lounge, and I'm using Buzzsprout here. So here's the MP3. I uploaded it into here. And if I hit edit, I could go in here and put a new one in here. I've got a title. I've got the description. I've got timestamps. That's one of the things we do for our clients is we go through and we actually find stamps or highlight moments for every single podcast. We do this for them and then put this in there. And then I give them a link for a full transcription. So if I went to this link right here, so what happens is if anybody is listening to this podcast like on Spotify and they click that link that's in the show notes, it'll take them to his website. That's where we want to direct all his traffic anyway. Now they can listen to the podcast here, which this is just an embedded version of the podcast. It's not a duplicate. It's actually Buzzsprout being embedded so that anybody that listens to this podcast on his website, it actually gives him credit for that. We put the entire transcription in here, show notes, all that stuff. But the great thing about having this on his website and having it in the blog is that they're just one click away from from checking out his books, from checking out his VIP room, any products, services he has. So that's a great thing to do. If you have a podcast, you want to direct people to your website in the show notes. Just remember that. So anyway, this is just one episode. It's really easy to do. I could go in here and change the episode number, whether or not there's explicit content, but this is how to do this. So that's a quick overview. Basically, at the end of the day, all you really care about is you need to have a host. Don't try to do this on your own website. Just get a host. And yes, they usually cost a little bit of money, but they're totally worth it. And they will do most of the work for you. They create the RSS feed. And then they control all the episode information, and they actually store the MP3s and information on their website, so you don't have to have a storage somewhere else. And then anytime you update it, all your directories, after you get it set up, all your directories get updated automatically. It's really that easy. It's not hard. And then once again, the advantage to doing this over like a YouTube channel is that anytime you want to change something, you can still change even old episodes. You can change it at any time. If you have any questions or you're interested in our podcast service and finding out what we do, we basically make it super easy for our content creators to just concentrate on content. And we do all the rest. We help them set up all this stuff. We connect them to all their directories. So all they have to do is record, and we take it from there. We process the audio, we produce the podcast, we distribute it, everything. Create the blog, everything. Graphics, everything. Did I say everything yet? We do everything outside of creating the initial content. Emails, we send the emails, all their social media, follow-ups, everything. All right, that's it for this week. I hope that helped. If you're interested in our service, check out our stuff below. Talk to you later.